Hello, my name is Francisco Morales. I am Gallery Director at the FRONT Arte y Cultura and curator of this exhibition, El Devenir, Becoming. This exhibition commemorates the 15th anniversary of the gallery, of the FRONT Arte y Cultura, as part of Casa Familiar's efforts to bring arts and culture and community development and social services to San Ysidro and South San Diego and overall the border region of Tijuana and San Diego. So with this exhibition we wanted to talk about issues that are relevant to the community, relevant to Casa Familiar, relevant to San Diego, and relevant to our region. Subjects and themes such as family, heritage, tradition, immigration, social justice, and I think this, specifically in this part of the world, these are matters that we have to be, thinking about and just establishing these conversations between artists and audiences and everybody. So the exhibition includes 5 artists, some of them from San Diego, Tijuana, Mexico City, Iraq, and Canada. So let's start and thank everybody for being here. So we can start with Rizzhel's piece. Rizzhel Javier, it's a San Diego artist. She is also an educator, photographer, and community organizer. Rizzhel's work focuses on family, tradition, and the connections between being an American, being born in the USA, but also having your family and part of your traditions from the Philippines. But at the same time, Rizzhel connects the Philippines with our border issues with Tijuana and with this immigration and family separation as well. I remember one day Rizzhel made a project that we actually showed here, in which she took photographs of the Philippines and showed them in Tijuana and here at the gallery as well. And there were so many coincidences. Streets looked similar. Philippines, San Diego and Tijuana looked similar in a way. But in this huge work, Rizzhel is digging into the family archive, the photo albums, and finding subtle connections between her grandma, but also telling a story about her dad, about the family, about the ocean, about her house, and about memories of family and tradition. At some point, it looks like a huge family portrait, something that you would have at your house. But the presentation with this lenticular photograph takes it to another direction. So this work, you have to walk it. So actually, Hector, if you come here, from here we can see one side of the photograph, of the work, and it's basically the house, the home, family portraits, and she points out the stairs. The stairs as part of the house and as part of a symbol that symbolizes the family, the gatherings at the house. So then we can walk the work, and it is a very long piece, so we can walk along the piece, and you get to experience and get to see all these family portraits. But then you suddenly start to see this other collage, this other photograph. You can take a look at that section from this angle, where you can see Rizzhel in the center. You can see her grandma, you can see her dad, and you get to see these like similarities, like their look is similar, their eyes are similar, right? And Rizzhel's portrait is in the center looking at you. And it's kind of connecting you with her family and with all the traditions that come with that. At the same time, there's the ocean. And it's very interesting because we can listen to the ocean here, but that is part of Tania Candiani's piece. And it's not the ocean, actually, it's just water, but it sounds like the ocean. So it's an interesting combination of sound and images. This technique, lenticular photography, is actually like very possible for everybody to do. Rizzhel just led a workshop, and we got to make a few of these family lenticular photographs, and it's just very beautiful. It's like a crafted piece, but in a monumental scale. Okay, so let's go over here. Let's take a look at Tania Candiani's piece. Tania Candiani, it's a Mexican artist. Tania Candiani lived for a few years in Tijuana, and she developed part of her career in Tijuana. So she definitely has a foot in Tijuana. She has friends, she has part of her life happened here. So we thought that it was a good coincidence as well. In this particular piece, Tania, it's called Ephemeral Monuments. Tania goes to Cuba and visits these Olympic facilities, these sports facilities, but they are abandoned. Maybe you know, but Cuba has been, for being a Latin American country, has an Olympic power. So Cuba has won medals, and at some point in history, that was something that the government of Fidel Castro was very proud of. And they would be very proud of their sports persons and their sports achievements. However, nowadays, these facilities are abandoned. So then you start to think about, okay, so what happened? What happened to this power? What happened to this image, that Cuba was given to the world? So this piece is about the architecture of these facilities, but also about sports as a flag, as a political flag. But also, and this is the most important part, in her piece, there is a group of performers balancing, creating these shapes that are made with balance. So the poetry here, the beauty here, is that in these ruins, these performers have to trust each other and work together and find this balance in order to make it work, in order to make something work. And that is a metaphor, one of the metaphors of the piece. It's like, okay, the government is not going to make it. We as people and working together are going to have an impact and are going to make something work. In this case, is these sculptural human shapes. But we know it now, they could be, just working together to achieve some political win or something against the government or health benefits or so it's basically giving a little bit of hope to working as a community. Let's take a look at the video. The series includes videos, photographs, drawings, objects, and even sports uniforms. For this exhibition we have 4 photographs and 1 video. I love the fact that Tania let us see when these performers are walking to make the shapes, and it's just the casual, like, okay, and they even run like they're kind of racing against each other, but once they get there they focus on their mission, and it is just a brief period of time in which they can find balance. But they make it. They do it. So just look at it. It takes like, okay, 1, 2, 3 seconds. But in those 3 seconds, we are able to capture it as a video and then as photographs, and not just get this very beautiful symbol, but also beautiful image, because visually it's very attractive. And that's where the architecture gets in. It's not only the performance, there's also some value in the visual power of the architecture. Okay, so let's go over here and take a look at the work of Sama Alshaibi. Sama is presenting these 3 pieces. Sama, as I mentioned before, is an artist from Iraq, currently living in Arizona, in Tucson, Arizona. The work of Sama includes, or how can I say it? The work of Sama focuses, and includes the desert constantly. The desert for citizens of Arab countries is always there, and it's always at the edge of the city. And the desert, for us here in California, the desert could mean so many things. It's also beautiful, but it also means danger. Like a lot of migrants, when they're trying to cross through the desert, some of them die, and it's dangerous. And there's so many symbols about the desert. But the desert could also mean hope. Could also mean like you're in a place that is constantly changing, and that makes you just live the present. Accept what it is. You go into a desert and the next day is completely different because of the winds and because of the changes that happen naturally. So in these works, Sama talks about the desert in several ways. Sometimes, for example, in this video that we're seeing here, as a ritual, as a tradition, some kind of ceremony to leave the desert. One interesting connection to the border is that there are some authors, I don't remember if it was Gloria and Latsua, who said, I didn't cross the border crossed me. There's another author who says, I am the border. And there's similar things happening in the desert. So she talks about this person, let me just take a look at the name, who says, I, the desert. A Sufi poet, Asad Ali, who began each line of his poems the desert. I am the desert. This is part of me. In this video over here, the desert is not only beautiful, but it's also in danger. And in this video, Sama tries to connect the desert with North Africa, with other communities in other parts of the world that are threatened by, humans, civilization, imperialism. And she talks about Hawaii, she talks about North Africa, she talks about the Middle East, and she kind of follows the path of a writer, a historian that visited the desert, and she kind of goes to similar places, loosely following this path, and shoots these beautiful videos, trying to highlight, something that is disappearing, that is in danger, it must be protected. So here in San Ysidro, here in San Diego, and Tijuana, we cannot relate more to that. Of course, San Diego is threatened by this militarization of the border. Tijuana, this is almost a desert. The chaparral is threatened, and the native lands are threatened. The Mexican communities are threatened, the Filipino communities are threatened. So in this work, Sama connects us all with this common good or common danger. On this other video, she talks about the everyday life, the struggles, the fight of Palestine. She digs into this archive of news, of home videos, of YouTube videos, and makes this beautiful but powerful and strong documentation of the struggles of Palestine, which of course, as a border city, as a border community, we think we understand. Of course, we are not in the same situation. We're definitely different struggle, but we can relate to what happens in a community, in a border community such as Palestine. Okay, let's go over here. This is another series of pieces by Rizzhel Javier, also focused on family and tradition and her family members. One second. So a boat is a very powerful symbol for immigrants and for people who had to cross oceans to get here. Here in San Diego, most of the people, at least the Mexicans, they have to cross the country, and the final kind of a stage is crossing the desert, right? Some of them come from South America or Central America, and the desert is just one stage. Crossing the jungle, just imagine, it would be a very different thing. But for people who had to cross the ocean, had to come from another continent to here, the boat is a very strong symbol of leaving behind, but also finding a new life, a new hope, maybe. Okay, so here we are. This is Rafael Lozano Hemmer. Rafael is a Mexican artist living in Canada. So we can say that he's a Mexican-Canadian artist. He's been working in Canada for quite some years. And in this work, Rafael focuses on the 43 disappeared students of Ayotzinapa. It was 7 years ago that these students were disappeared by the Mexican police and Mexican government, apparently because they got involved. So they apparently because there was a narco cartel involved who ordered these disappearances. The students were protesting, and in the protest, they kidnapped trucks, buses, so they could go from one place to another just to protest. But apparently, there was something in these buses. Some people say that there was a narco merchandise there, and when they kidnapped the buses, the narcos got crazy and ordered to kill them. It happened in one night. Nobody was prepared for that. They were just students protesting. And then now they became a symbol of the sickness and all the dark matter that is happening between the Mexican government and the drug dealers. So this is kind of a homage. Actually, Rafael doesn't consider this an artwork, but he considers this more like an activism piece. And what it does is that once you stay in front of the piece, there is a software recognition element, face recognition software, that is analyzing your face and trying to find one of these 43 disappeared students. So the software is basically looking for them by comparing your face with theirs. And every person who stands in front of this ends up being searched, trying to find the students. And in the end, you can see that the student was not found. So it's, just constantly looking for them. One interesting element about that piece is that technically everybody can download the piece and make it work, every museum, every gallery, every organization. And instead of paying the artist, Rafael is asking you to donate these funds to the Amnesty International Mexico, where they're forced to not only address these issues, but other issues are being made. Okay, let's go to the front. Here we are in the front section of the gallery, and this is the work of Marco Ramirez Erre. Marco Ramirez Erre, it's a transborder artist working between California and Baja California, Tijuana, San Diego. Marco Ramirez, it's a very political artist, and he is an essential border artist. He addresses border issues. He comments about all these border situations that happen literally in his city, his balcony, his neighborhood. In this particular piece, this piece is called the Tenth Commandment. Tenth Commandment as a number, as an ordinary number, but also as tenth. So it's like a word, a game of words. This piece was specifically made for this exhibition, And he was just impressed by the camping site, by the campground, the migrant campground in San Ysidro, which is, as he says, approximately 1.3 miles from here, which is 2 kilometers from here. And so these immigrants from all South and Central America and Mexico and even other countries are stationed at the border in tents similar to this, waiting for the Border Patrol and the US government to give them asylum. Some of them are running away from violence, from political persecution, from poverty, from earthquake, so all kinds of issues and all kinds of problems affecting these countries, that a lot of these countries have been, of course, affected by the politics of the USA, by the imperialism of the USA that tries to dominate the continent and the world, basically. Anyway, so this causes a lot of trouble, and these people are here just trying to find a new life. So yeah, there's a game of words. The Tenth Commandment, if we think about the religious commandment, and he actually mentions that on this text, it's like you are not going to desire what other people have. And for some people, according to Erre, it's like they think the immigrants are here to steal their jobs, to steal their houses and get the money, and And with this commentary, Erre is like saying, no, wait. I mean, these people left everything behind, are living in a tent here at the border. And you think they're here to steal your life, your work? That is not what is actually happening. On the other hand, we remember all these images of the kids in cages that we started seeing very constantly because of the Trump administration. And that is something that I think we're not going to forget ever. We thought that kids in cages was behind in history, and we think that that was barbaric, and there's so many movies about all the concentration camps, and then we see it on the TV. We see it, and it's happening here in this country, here in San Diego. So the symbol of having the tent inside the cage is, I think, very, very clear and very powerful. So Erre made this sculpture, made this beautiful map, and of course, the whole thing creates this installation, including these photographs. In that particular photo, he is like, that's the most, he said that this was one of the strongest photos. And you can see an adult with a toy gun, pointing at this little girl and kind of shooting at the girl with the toy gun. It's like, I mean, there's violence in everywhere, right? And not because they come here trying to find a better life means that they are, just free of violence, or they're angels. Violence is everywhere. It's here, it's there. And we have to accept that to begin with, and then work around it and make something about it. Or at least talk about it. Let's talk about at least how violent we are. So this was a very quick tour of the exhibition. Again, We are commemorating the 50th anniversary of the gallery with these works. We want to make these conversations, start these conversations. The exhibition is going to be running until January 13th, so we invite everybody to come and visit the gallery. The gallery is open from Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. So we welcome you. Please come and join. We also are going to have a few more events, a retrospective video of the gallery, but we just invite you to come and take a look at these amazing works. Thank you everybody, and hope to see you soon.